Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Built for Life, Not Just Money. My name is Ryan Burklo,
And I'm Alex Collins.
and this is a podcast where we help you really design your future, financially speaking, and so that it reshapes your present. And this podcast is really around like it's not just about money in the end. It's really what is it we want our life to be, and how do we use that money to support that life.
Yeah, money is just a tool that allows us to accomplish the goals that we have and want.
So today we're going to talk about really when money stops being the problem and becomes attention. And this
Which is
tends
kind
to,
of that's a weird phrase to unpack just for a second. Like w- cash flow and money being a problem is really like, can we pay our bills, right?
yeah.
And the tension is something entirely different. What do you mean by tension, Ryan?
So as we work with, high net worth individuals, they still argue about money, but just in a different way. It's not like, can we pay our bills? Right. It's more of a, what do we do with the money? Right. What do we do with this money? Do we like, what do we value? Do our kids going to be financially savvy, or are they going to waste some money? Like, where is it we want this money to go? Like, what do we actually value and what do we want to support? And that's where the shift changes. And that conversation is hard to actually have with the spouse sometimes, right? Because you don't know any better. You've been working your tail off to get to this net worth, and now that you're there, all you know was working your tail off and not recognizing what's it all for.
And so sometimes this might wind up in a conversation of like making sure that you're valuing your spouse's time and spending time with the family. It might be like, what do we want? Like, how do we want to shift the priorities of where our money goes and what it does for us? Like, it's a rough transition because it's not like there's big flags and signals and whatnot that say, hey, you're good. Like, that doesn't happen. And it happens slowly over time, um, at least for most folks. Sometimes there's a like big promotion or a job change or something that just like, nope, we're now set. Um, you know, but most of the time it happens slowly over time. And so it's hard to have this fundamental mentality change because it happens slowly over time. There's not like a, oh hey, we should talk about this differently now.
Yeah, and there's two really like when we get to this level of wealth, there's two archetypes at this level of wealth, right? There's the steward that is focused on preservation and legacy, right? They're thinking in decades, not individual years. Like in the end, like their overall emotional is, I don't want to mess this up,
Right.
right? And then the other one is the architect. This is a person that's focused on experience, impact, optionality, right? Looking at chapters of life, not like decades of years. And they want to feel their responsibility is more of not wasting the moment,
Yeah.
right? Not wasting the moment versus not wasting all of the money. Those are two very different sides, right? And neither of these roles are really about the money. They're more about responsibility, just pointed in different directions.
Well, and largely values.
Exactly.
Like, what are the things that we care about and how do we want to go about doing it?
So you brought up budgeting, right? Like traditional budgeting breaks at that higher net worth aspect because, maybe from the standpoint of how they got there, their income maybe is lumpy, right? Maybe they're getting huge equity compensations or there's liquidity events, meaning they're exiting a business. Right. So,
Or maybe it's just that their income by design is lumpy because they own the company. And so, like, there's really good months and really bad months, or really good seasons and really bad seasons.
yep. And then that same thing actually happens in the spending side, right? They work their tail off. So then they take a year off and go travel, right? Or philanthropy. Am I saying that correctly?
No, philanthropy.
Philanthropy, right? Or they're buying real estate, right? I can't talk today.
Remind me to tell you a joke when we're done. It's not appropriate for the podcast.
Okay. Right. So these life decisions matter more than monthly type categories. At this level, budgeting doesn't create clarity, it creates friction. And so, what high net worth families need isn't a budget, it's more of a decision making framework than anything else. And so, under the surface, Alex, you're laughing, so I can't wait for the joke. Under the surface, like, again, it's a feeling of regret if they use the money inappropriately.
Yeah.
It's
It's extra weight on their shoulders of the feel of responsibility of I'm either wasting my time or I'm wasting the opportunity or I'm wasting like the next generation or I'm not doing the things that I need to be doing with my money. Like we hear a lot of people that come to us and are like, okay, I just started making a bunch of money. I don't know what to do with it. How do they'll actually use the term, how do I be a good steward?
yep.
And it like, A, that's awesome to hear. And B, we need to even like figure out like, okay, is that even the right question for you?
Well, take that to the next generation with their kids, right? They're really worried about their kids who will inherit this money, right? They're worried about their kids being entitled, not understanding the work, right? The ethic, like the values. Make sure their kids aren't brats, to say it simply, right?
Hmm.
And they're also worried about if they inherit that money just being gone and spent frivolously because they have no financial stewardship on the kid's side.
And oftentimes it's because one or both of the parents were uh, workaholics or extremely diligent about putting in time at work, whether it's the office, the company, whatever else. And so the concern is that, hey, I wasn't there to be able to instill some of these values. Is it too late? Or how do I go back and fix this? Or like insert variation of this issue. And there's like, what, five or six of them?
Yep. What just kind of occurred to me, Alex, is as we're talking about this, and the underlying, I think, concern is what if the way they built this wealth and the lifestyle in terms of where they're spending their time, what if they've accidentally designed a life that they regret or feels empty, right?
Uh
Because
huh.
oftentimes if you get to that kind of net worth, maybe you didn't spend the time that you wanted with your kids. Maybe your focus was wrong, or maybe you did spend time with your kids, but you weren't actually present. Or maybe you just forgot about the values that you actually hold because you're so focused on getting money that now that you get to whatever this life that you pictured isn't what you actually wanted.
Or you were too stressed about the finances and the company and the like making it to the top of the hill, whatever version of hill you have,
Yep.
that it prevented you from being present. And like the good news is there's fixes for just about all this stuff.
Yeah. So, what we call financial guardrails for this, right? Um, right. It's more of, okay, what is the guardrail for the lifestyle inflation, if you will? Like everyone's heard of, oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on the the family that built a lot of money with the railroad system and they lost
Oh,
it all.
are you talking about the Vanderbilts?
Vanderbilts, thank you. So everybody's heard about the Vanderbilts, where that money was just gone,
Hmm.
right? And it's gone because of the lifestyle inflation slash just the kids not
The,
understanding any kind of financial stewardship. They didn't understand
the
it.
values didn't get passed on at a certain generation, and then it degraded from there. I mean, like we still hear the name Vanderbilt because there's a Vanderbilt University. There's like it's a classic case study. There's a lot of like knowledge and information out there about it. Um, but at the same time, many people don't necessarily know that it's kind of a warning thing as opposed to a, hey, look at this, these awesome barons of industry, blah blah blah.
Yep. The other aspect is a lot of times when you get to this high net worth, you have a concentration typically in a individual asset or assets, like, but it's the same asset class. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's equity in your company, right? So you've got this concentration risk. And while that's what got them there, and we're not saying that you should stop with what they're good at, but there is a diversification piece that probably should be brought to the table so that they don't, and this goes back up to like making sure you don't lose it all,
Mhm.
right? And then we just spoke about kind of family expectations, right? Having these types of conversations, it doesn't matter what your net worth is not easy, but the more you have, the better off everyone will be from a financial perspective. And then obviously the time and energy to do this, right, is making sure to have that is huge. I think that health is not spoken enough in financial planning because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy and you're not living, you're not doing what you can want to do because you can't do it physically, like what's it all for?
Well, and like the other thing is that like when you get to these levels of wealth, you don't have one advisor. You've got a financial planner, you've got an insurance person, you've got a CPA, you've got an attorney, you've got a business coach. Like you have 5 to 10 people that you're trying to coordinate between all of the various different things that you need to do.
Yep.
And like it quickly becomes overwhelming for people. Um, and so there's solutions to being able to like make sure that you've got a team in place that works together and that accomplishes listening to you and then going and working on it and coming back to you and going, hey, here's what all of us came up with that we think is going to be the best solution for you.
Yep. And so just I think one question we'll end on today, Alex, for those listeners here. And I don't think this really matters what net worth you have. But I'll just kind of throw it out there because I think I've read this and it stayed with me. And the question is, when you look back 20 years from now,
Hmm.
what's going to make you feel proud?
Yeah.
I'm going to be shocked if it's net worth is the answer.
If it is, there might be some issues.
Yeah. Because if let's just call it what it is, how many billionaires out there don't really actually have, in my opinion, a great life because they've gotten divorced. Like they're so focused on what they've built. That's all their life is.
Mhm.
And if that's what you want, fine. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm just sharing with you, like many people we work with, that's not what they want.
Yeah. There was a class that I took maybe about a decade ago, and it was called the Life and Leadership class, and one of the things that it forced us to do was to write our own eulogy.
Yeah.
And this was a whole bunch of like there were some 20 somethings, there were some 30 somethings, like there was a couple 40 somethings, and like oh my god, that was a powerful exercise. It
I've done that before. That was the hardest thing I've done before ever.
100%. Like I like it took me like a week of like multiple hours a day to like write that and like dude, I can't tell you how many times I broke down crying just thinking about like what I wanted that to look like and what was important and like thinking through all of these things. Like at the time I didn't have any kids and I was like, oh, well this is what I want for my kids and this is what I want for their life and like it was just it's an emotional roller coaster and I cannot recommend it enough. And if you have questions or issues or want to figure out how to get started, you feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you.
Absolutely. I'll end on this. Like if you've done well financially, but you still feel unresolved about how it fits together, that's not a failure. It's just an invitation to design more intentionally. So head over to built for life, not just wealth.com. And at the top of the page, there's a contact us. If you got any questions about either this episode or if you had another topic that you want us to chat about, it's a great spot to reach out to us for that. In the show notes, you'll have our scorecard that is there, and that can help you on your net worth and kind of give you a scorecard of what you look like financially. And If you got anything out of this episode, share it with your friends. Like, the whole reason we started this episode is to help you think differently about your money so you can live the life that you want to live with your family. So as always, we hope this episode is valuable for you. And Mr. Collins,
Make it a great day.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Quantified Financial Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. This material is intended for general public use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities LLC is not undertaking to provide investment advice or a recommendation for any specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Please contact a financial representative for guidance and information that is specific to your individual situation. Ryan and Alex are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities LLC, OSJ 200 Market Street, Suite 1850, Portland, Oregon 97201. Phone number 503-221-1226. Securities products and advisory services offered through Park Avenue Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Quantified Financial Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. Ryan Burklo, CA Insurance License Number 0K24924. Alexander Collins, CA Insurance License Number 0H24806.
8723883.1, expiration date January 2028.